So now, I would want everyone to pay attention to this because it's very important in my opinion. Whenever we are looking at a business in terms of their health, in terms of how are they doing, or for that matter, even if we are planning to start a new business, there are two kind of environments that we need to study and understand. One is the internal environment, internal business environment, and the second is the external environment. Right? Internal environment would include things like, do I have the right people? Do I have the right technology? Do I have the right financial resources? But when we are talking about external factors, these are the external environment factors that are not actually in the control of the business. For example, the political landscape. So until and unless you are a Reliance or an Adani group or a very, very large business, and even if you're a very large business, you can't single-handedly change the political landscape. Right? So, but on the other hand, the political landscape can single-handedly affect your business. Think about it. Because if a particular political party has a specific agenda that we don't want these kind of businesses to exist, can they change it? For example, if we get a very, very conservative government which is not open to the idea of uh, LGBTQ community existing safely in the country, they can automatically ban all products that are trying to cater to the needs of the LGBTQ community, which will impact all businesses which are trying to cater to them. Right? So this is how political mentality can also affect businesses. And this could happen through policy. This could happen through the different kind of decisions that they're making on the foreign trade. Right? In 1991, we saw that the Congress government was forced to liberalize the Indian economy. Right? On the other hand, we saw that after 2014, the foreign direct investments drastically shot up. Why? Because Modi worked very hard on developing relationships with, all of these different nations. So our connections, or for that matter, our relationships with a lot of nations abroad improved. On the other hand, because BJP happens to be a slightly conservative party, they might not be open to say, regulating certain things or allowing certain kind of laws to pass. So different political parties would have different agendas, would have different kind of mentalities, and that will, at the end of the day, affect businesses. Next, we have economics. So when we look at the economics, obviously, this directly affects your business, because if the bank today decides to increase the interest rate, of course, your financials will change. If you have to pay a very, very large interest rate on loans, you would not be very, very motivated to take more and more loans from the banks. Correct? And that will reduce the capital that you might be able to have to expand your business. Right? So again, the economics of the country can also and will always directly impact your business situation. They could favor certain kind of businesses, and maybe they might not favor certain kind of businesses. For example, if the bank decides to increase their interest rate, businesses which are not capital intensive, which don't require a lot of capital to be actually successful, might not be impacted as much as capital intensive businesses would be impacted. Yeah, also the case for Sri Lanka, correct. And if we look at the social situation, again, that also plays a very, very important role. If today Utkarsh decides to launch a business which is not considered to be acceptable by the community of that particular state, there he will be in a lot of trouble. Right? So if Utkarsh decides that, okay, I'm going to cut down a lot of trees in a tribal area, and I would want to create, I would want to create a special, a sort of a business center over there. Now, if people over there are environmental conscious, or if people living in that area are dependent upon forests for their livelihood, they might not be, willing for Utkarsh to open such a business. And they will do whatever it takes to resist that activity. So social factors will always directly influence businesses. They could be neutral to it. They could have a positive sentiment towards it. At the same time, they can also have a negative sentiment towards that particular sector or industry, or even the business. Right? Next, we have the technology. So when we're talking about the technology, we're usually talking about what is actually possible when we look at the technological aspect. So I say I might want to create a teleportation, you know, teleportation door, right, from Doraemon. So I want to make sure that I have an anywhere door and I can kind of get to any place in a second. But if that is not technologically possible, if we don't have the technology to build something like it, would it be possible for us to do it? Not really. Similarly, if there's a technology that I want to use, but it is being only used in Russia and the Russian government is not okay with this technology being shared with other countries, again, I would be in trouble. I would not be able to use it. Right? So there could also be a lot of a lack of awareness. For example, in a small village, people might not be aware about the use of social media for marketing their products. Or even if they are aware about it, they might not know how to use it. Make sense? Next, we have environmental policies, climate change, which is of course what E stands for, which is environmental issues. So a very, very interesting thing to look at is, there's this very, very popular vehicle brand called Volkswagen. And Volkswagen in Europe were fined an amount north of $1 billion for not adhering to their environmental policies, right? And that was a huge setback for the company. So tomorrow, if they decide that your company needs to follow certain kind of emissions practices and you don't do it, again, you would be under a lot of pressure. So you need to, again, be very, very conscious about the environmental laws and how your business is impacting the environment around it. And lastly, of course, and probably the most logical one, which is the legal aspect. So the legal environment can drastically change your business. Like today, you could be doing a legal activity, and tomorrow your business might be termed as an illegal activity. For example, selling cannabis in Canada is legal, but can we do it in India? Not really. It's an illegal activity. So if you are doing business today in India and you decide to work in Canada and you want to sell cannabis, all of a sudden an activity that was considered to be illegal by your country is now legal and you can start doing it.